Mackenzie Dern versus Xiaonan. Fight night is this weekend, and I'm going to be breaking down all fights on this card with a full card prediction and breakdown. I'm going to tell you how I think the fights will go, and I think some of them, how I'm probably going to bet on a couple of them, but it's not going to be for every single one. But I am going to give you an idea of how I think the fights will end. So first off, we have Randy Costa versus Guido Cannetti for the first fight on the card. I'm happy they shuffled the card. It was not looking good. I was like falling asleep on some of these matchups. Like some of these matchups are like really close and things like that, and I was having a fun time like watching to see who I think I'd win, who I think will win. But some of the cards, it's like Sodiq Yusuff versus some guy they brought in off the street. Not off the street, but he's a solid fighter, but it's like it's Sodiq Yusuff versus this guy. It's, I don't know. There's some fights like that. I was like, well, why am I wasting my time with this one? But yes, let's get into the first fight on the card. And there's other fights like that too. I'm not just bringing up that one. But Randy Costa versus Guido Cannetti. Randy Costa is 6-3. His last fight was a loss against Tony Kelly, who is no longer in the UFC. He's good on the feet, but will eventually get caught as his opponents figure him out over time. Has some good kicks and sets up his strikes with the jab. He starts out really well in the first part of the fight, and then for some reason, like, he just ends up getting caught or just getting schooled after like the first round, maybe a little bit in the second round. But yeah, the guys start to figure him out a little bit. For Guido Cannetti is 9-6. His last fight was a win against Chris Moutinho, who is also not in the UFC anymore. Good power in his hands, very accurate with the shots, and he tends to get hit a little bit on the feet. For this matchup, I can see both of these guys winning. Randy Costa starts really well, like I said, and we saw Cannetti have like a slower start versus Moutinho. So I can see Costa KOing Cannetti because I think Cannetti's a little older. I was a little worried about his chin, not in the Moutinho fight, but earlier on, he looks like if he gets hit pretty hard, he can go down. But I can see Cannetti getting a KO also. He has some really good stand-up there. He did TKO Moutinho, but it was another standing TKO because he just gets fucking hit so much. But I can see him getting a KO as the fight goes on. When the first round, I'm going to edge Randy Costa here. I don't think the lines should be as wide as they should be. I mean, Costa's all right, but like I'm not comfortable betting on him in this fight. Not necessarily at all. I think in the first round, he can probably KO and finish him there. But if the fight goes past the first round, maybe a couple minutes in the second round, maybe live bet. Maybe I will live bet Guido Cannetti a little bit. Hopefully get that KO. Or a decision in all honesty. But for Cannetti, he's plus 245 right now. I think I might put a little bit of money on that. But yes, I'm going to go with Randy Costa though. I think he is going to get the first round KO. I think he's very, very good in the first round. But starts to get figured out over the next couple rounds. But yes, I'm going to go with Randy Costa by a first round KO. Julija Stoliarenko versus Chelsea Chandler. Julija Stoliarenko is 10-6-1. Her last fight was a win over Jessica Rose Clark. Good jiu-jitsu, very awkward on the feet, but can do damage there. I believe for that fight against Jessica Rose Clark, I won't say I predicted it correctly, but I basically said if Jessica Rose Clark doesn't win this, she'll probably get fucking armbarred. I don't know why I'm cursing so much in this video, but she'll probably get armbarred. For Chelsea Chandler, 4-1, good grappling with good jiu-jitsu also. Not that good at striking, takes quite a bit of shots when she throws a lot of volume and pressures with her stand-up. This fight is a close one also. I'm not sure who to go with here. I think the grappling cancels out because Chelsea Chandler basically she's a bigger girl for the division. I could tell. She's a bigger girl, got like the bigger legs. She can take down ladies, but I think Julija Stoliarenko's jiu-jitsu is very threatening, especially in that position. So I would not advise her taking her down at all. I think this should stay on the feet. If I am Chandler, I'm keeping this on the feet and having my chances with Stoliarenko. Stoliarenko doesn't really look like she wants to engage that much on the feet. She kind of just like leans back and throws like kicks and punches and things like that. But I think I will lean Chandler here. I think she is the underdog. I'm not quite sure how big of an underdog she is, but I'm going to lead Chandler here on the complete idea that she'll keep the standing, or maybe she could like kind of keep this in half guard or whatever and just start like ground and pounding or just grinding her out on the ground. I don't know. I'm gonna go with Chandler here. This is a pretty close fight in all aspects of it. I just think she'll probably have better stand up. She's a lot more pressure on the feet. Maybe pressure into a cage and then clinch her and then do some damage there. That's how I see it going. I'm going to go with Chelsea Chandler by a decision. Next fight on the card, we have Maxim Grishin versus Philipe Lins. Maxim Grishin is 32-9-2. His last fight was a win over William Knight. Has good stand-up, nice kicks, good front kicks to the body, good grappling, and decent takedown defense. That William Knight fight, I believe he did take him down in the later part of the fight and worked from there. William Knight's a really big dude, very big dude. And I think he missed weight for that fight. I think that was the fight that made him go up to heavyweight next. I believe he did take him down. I believe I did. Or I believe he did. For Philipe Lins, is that right? Philipe Lins? Yeah, Philipe Lins. Last fight was a win over Marcin Pracino. Okay on the feet, solid leg kicks, and a good grappler. This fight is very close also. So many close fights on the earlier part of this card. They both have their good and bad positions in the octagon. Grishin is good on the feet, while Lins is good on the ground. Grishin does have some solid takedown defense, which will help him in this fight, but I think Lins will be looking for the takedown early in this fight and gasses out trying to get it. Grishin will either win by a decision or a TKO in the later rounds. I think just the takedown defense in general will tire out Lins, and he'll be able to, Grishin will be able to take over from there and deal quite a bit on the feet. So yes, I'm going to go with Maxim Grishin for a decision or later round TKO, but it'll probably be a decision. Up the card, we have Brendan Allen versus Christoph Jocko. Brendan Allen is 19-5. His last fight was a win over Jacob Malkoun. Has some good scrambles on the ground, can get taken down relatively easily, but does eventually work his way up. Has some good striking and technical on the feet. Christoph Jocko, 24-5. Last fight was a win against Gerald Mershart III. Solid on the feet and does have some good grappling himself. Another close fight that I'm going to go with Brendan Allen. I think he'll be able to work pretty much Christoph Jocko's whole body and try to pick Christoph Jocko as he comes in with his kicks to the body, a lot of body shots. And I think Allen oh my goodness. I think Allen could be taken down here, but I do believe that he can get back up. I'm going to go Allen in a razor close decision here. I think in the Jacob Malkoun fight, he was taken down, but he did eventually work his way up, did scramble quite a bit. Didn't necessarily establish a position on the ground, but did end up on his feet. Jacob Malkoun's a bigger dude, more powerful dude too. If he's able to survive those kind of that kind of grappling, I'm going to go with Brendan Allen in this fight. Although he is a little iffy to bet on, like I'm not too sure I would bet on the man here, but because he's kind of like Michael Johnson. You see him getting all happy and like confident in there, and then he just starts fighting like shit. That's how it is with Brendan Allen. But yeah, I'm going to go with him for a split decision or a 29-28 decision win here. Up the card, we have Joaquim Silva versus Jesse Ronson. Joaquim Silva is 11-3. Last fight was a loss to Ricky Glenn. Doesn't have a good chin like at all. Very questionable chin. Has good stand-up and is very quick. Does have some good power in his hands. Jesse Ronson, 21-10. Last fight was a loss to Rafa Garcia. Does have some good pressure. Good forward pressure on the feet. Can become a punching bag at times just to get that pressure in. Just gets hit at range like Rafa Garcia. Basically put out his jabs and was just piecing apart Jesse Ronson in their last fight because he just kept going forward and trying to land shots, but he couldn't land them. And he was just tanking the shots. Blitzkrieg, if you want to say Blitzkrieg. But can become a punching bag. Does have some good output, but some rangier guys can keep him in check for sure. For this fight, I think Silva has the way better stand-up here, but the only thing making this a close fight is the extremely questionable chin for Joaquim Silva. He did get dropped by Nasrat and Ricky Glenn with the left hook. And Ronson in the Hoffa Garcia fight, when he was going forward, he kept like swinging for that left hook, I noticed. And it's not like he has a lot of power at all in his hands, but that can be something that you can use there. If he gets dropped by Jesse Ronson here and loses by that way, I am not confident in Joaquim Silva's chin at all, because I do think he has the better stand-up. It's just more powerful and quick with his moves. Some good front kicks also, and kicks in general. But yeah, I'm going to go with Joaquim Silva here. I'm not confident in it at all. Well, I'm semi-confident in it. I just don't think his chin's there. I think he will win by a decision, but I'm a little worried I can see him getting KO'd by Jesse Ronson. But yeah, let's move on up the card. Up the card, we have Jessica Penne versus Tabatha Ricci. Jessica Penne is 14-6, has fought a lot of big names, lost to Emily Ducote in her last fight where she just got leg kicked to death. She could barely stand on her leg at all. I'm surprised she made it out of that fight to a decision. She is 39 years old, does have some decent stand-up, but doesn't have too much pop in her shots. Tabatha Ricci, 7-1. Last fight was a win against Polyana Viana, which I thought she lost. I think some people might disagree on that. But wild on the feet, doesn't have too much technique in her hands, has a good counter hook, and does have some decent power in her hands. In this fight, I'm going to go Ricci because she will have more power in her hands and will be able to counter and punch Penne. Even though she does have a big reach advantage, I think she'll just be able to hook her when she comes in. But yeah, this fight could be close, but I think she's just... I'm just going to go Penne. Or not Penne, I'm sorry. I'm going to go Ricci here just because she is younger. And I think she'll be able to catch her there. And it's a women's MMA fight, so... lower... I don't know if I want to say fully lower level, but... I'm just going to say that this one could go either way because, I'll just say it. It's kind of lower level. This one could go either way in all honesty. I don't bet on these fights unless it's over 2.5. But yeah, let's move on. Up the card, we have Aleksei Oleinik versus Ilir Latifi. I hope I said that right. I think it's like Ilir or something. But Aleksei Oleinik is 16-1. Last fight was a win over Jared Vandera. Does have some great jiu-jitsu. Striking is all right. Kind of just wings, hooks towards his opponents. Decent power in his hands and okay cardio. Especially for all the stupid crap he does in the fights that he does have. He does have some solid cardio in there, especially for a bigger dude. But Ilir Latifi is 15-8. Last fight was a split decision win over Tanner Boser. Likes to take guys down, half guard, and deal damage there. His striking has nothing really special about it. Not much power in his hands either, and bad cardio. Basically just has 1 round cardio. Gets out the first round. He is in some bad luck. This matchup is very interesting because these are both older fighters, but their styles work interestingly together. If Latifi tries to take Oleinik down, I think the jiu-jitsu threat from Oleinik here can be an issue for him. But I can also see him kind of just like chilling in half guard and dealing damage there. But Oleinik does have some really good jiu-jitsu. But if this does cancel out and he doesn't try to take him down, I can see Oleinik getting the better of Latifi on the feet. I think he just has better striking, maybe a little bit more power in his hands. But yeah, I think he also just has some more output in general. I think he can counter hook Latifi in there. I don't want to say necessarily counter hook, but he can counter Latifi as he comes in and throws punches. So I'm going to go with Oleinik with a second round sub. Not crazy confident in it. Oleinik's kind of weird when he tries to take guys down. He kind of grabs them and just like falls back a little bit. Sub him. But I'll get Oleinik by a sub here. I think Latifi might try and take this down after he realizes in the first round he's not able to hit Oleinik too much, and he's not going to be able to do as much damage and get the points that he needs. Up the card, we have Mike Davis versus Viacheslav, Borshchev. I think this fight will probably be, I want to say fight of the night, but we'll see. I think this one should be really fun. Mike Davis is 9-2. Last fight was a win over Mason Jones, who I thought was a pretty solid fighter, but they cut him. I'm really surprised by that. Really good shot selection, big power in his hands, and mixes it up quite a bit on the feet, and does have some good and solid grappling. Borshchev, 6-2. Last fight was a loss to Mark Dakaji. Showed some decent takedown defense in his last fight. I was surprised at how good his takedown defense was against Mark Dakaji initially. I think it was like Chris Duncan in the Contender Series that tossed him around a lot before KOing him. I think it was Chris Duncan. I might have gotten the name wrong. It could have been someone else though. But it was some UK fighter. But does have some good power in his hands. I think these guys will absolutely throw it down in the octagon. It'll be super technical too, so it won't just be sloppy shit. But I'm going to lean Davis here, but he hasn't fought in 2 years, which is what's making me uncomfortable about this matchup. I think he did so well against Mason Jones, was so technical. Oh my goodness, it was very good, very powerful too. Oh man, I'm gonna go Mike Davis here, but I wouldn't be surprised if Borshchev won this. This is such a close fight. It's honestly just because Mike Davis has been inactive for like a year and 7 months, 8 months or something like that. It's why I'm so hesitant to pick him, but I think I will pick him. But I do like Borshchev. Borshchev is an underdog at plus 149, so he's a solid underdog there. But I do think this one will go to a decision. I think both of these guys are really tough, even though they do have some really good power. I think Mike Davis will win this, and it will go to a decision. Up the card, we have John Castaneda versus Daniel Santos. John Castaneda, 19-5. Last fight was a win against Miles Johns. Has some good pop in his shots in general. I'm going to just fly through this one. I don't know why this fight was technically... I think they're both unranked, right? I'm not sure. Daniel Santos is 9-2. I'm going to go with Castaneda here. I think he's just going to be more active on the feet and will land some better shots. I don't know if Santos will win a round here. He did look solid at 273. I don't remember who he fought, but he fought 273, made his UFC debut and lost. But yeah, I'm going to go with Castaneda here. I'm not too confident in Santos. I think this one will be relatively easy prediction to make. Up the card, we have Sodiq Yusuff versus Don Shainis, I believe is how you say it. Sodiq Yusuff, last fight was a win against Alex Caceres. Patient on the feet, solid grappling. Don Shainis is 12-3. Good power in his hands, solid grappling. But I am going to take Sodiq Yusuff by decision here. I think he's just going to outstrike Shainis on the feet for multiple rounds, and that's all I got. Unranked guy just coming into UFC versus ranked number 12 Sodiq Yusuff. I believe he's ranked 12. Actually, there's one thing. Don Shainis does have a chance here. I think it's just a power, but I think Sodiq Yusuff will just be able to outstrike Shainis on the feet. But yeah, that's all I got. Up the card, we have Raoni Barcelos versus Trevin Jones. Raoni Barcelos, 16-3. Last fight was a loss against Victor Henry. Solid everywhere, has some good pop in his shots and in his stand-up. Trevin Jones, 13-8. Last fight was a loss against Javid Basharat. Super patient on the feet, picks his shots. I'm going to go with Raoni by decision here. I think he'll just be more active on the feet, just outstrike Trevin Jones for all 3 rounds, not a few rounds. For 3 rounds, I think he will get the decision here. Yes. I'm going to go with Raoni Barcelos in this matchup. Up the card for our co-main event of the evening, we have Randy Brown versus Francisco Trinaldo. Randy Brown is 15-4. Last fight was a win over Chaos Williams. Very long, has some nice kicks, and sets up his strikes. Pretty much with a jab, just throws it out there a little bit. He will have a super big reach advantage in this fight, by the way. Francisco Trinaldo, 28-8. Last fight was a win against Danny Roberts. Has a lot of power, some solid grappling, good body shots and wings, quite a bit of punches. Danny Roberts does kind of have a similar, I want to say, frame to Randy Brown, but I think they're different fighters, obviously. I think Randy Brown will be able to keep the distance here against Chaos Williams. I think Chaos Williams is probably a little bit better than, quite a bit better than Francisco Trinaldo. Francisco Trinaldo is getting way older. Randy Brown will have an 8-inch reach advantage, and if he's able to deal with Chaos Williams, I think he'll be able to deal with Francisco Trinaldo. I think the only worry I have in this matchup for Randy Brown is Francisco Trinaldo's power. I think he did land a really nice body shot on Danny Roberts that dropped him, I think in like the second round. But yeah, just be careful of the body and then just the power. He might be able to catch Randy Brown. Randy Brown's like a super skinny dude, lean dude, I guess is the better word. He's still got muscle on him, he's not skinny. But he's just super long. I think he's going to be able to jab out of range, throw some kicks up in there. I think we'll see Francisco Trinaldo just try and wing some stuff and just hope to catch him at certain points in this fight. Will there be a finish here? I'm not sure. I can definitely see this going to a decision. So yeah, I'm going to go with Randy Brown in this fight. Up the card for our main event of the evening, we have Mackenzie Dern versus Xiaonan, or however they say it, Xiaonan. And they keep messing with it every year, it feels like, especially but it doesn't matter. We're just gonna dissect this main event. For Mackenzie Dern, she is 12-2. Last fight was a win against Tecia Torres. Solid grappling. Does have a little bit of developed stand-up, but isn't the best there. That's not her spot. Her spot is on the ground. Xiaonan is 15-3. Last fight was a loss to Marina Rodriguez. Good stand-up, solid power in her shots, but is super tough on the feet. Or super tough in general. But I think I'm going to go with Mackenzie Dern in this fight by decision. So a great 5-round, 5-minute women's MMA decision that we all love and enjoy. I think this one will start out on the feet in the first round or two. I think we'll see Mackenzie Dern try and feel it out on the feet first, maybe a round on the feet the first round. I think we're going to see Xiaonan's power come into play a little bit in the first round. I think they're both going to be a little hesitant, but I think Xiaonan is going to be able to force her striking on Mackenzie Dern in that first round. Probably take the first round, maybe the second round also. But I think as the fight goes on, I think Mackenzie Dern's going to get her her grappling involved, take her down in the second half of this fight, and grind her out on the ground from there. Could she get a sub? I definitely think she probably could. Maybe sneak one in there towards like the 4th or 5th round when Xiaonan gets tired, because she does kind of get a little tired in her fights. So on a 5-rounder, we'll see how she deals with that. But I think maybe 4th or 5th round, maybe Mackenzie Dern can sneak in a little sub and sub her there. But I do think this does go to a decision. So I'm going to take Mackenzie Dern to a 5-round decision. I'm going to pick Mackenzie Dern to a 5-round decision. But yeah, that's what I got for that fight. It's a very rough card, I'm not going to lie, with Cody Garbrandt coming off there against Raoni. It kind of doesn't have too much value to it, especially name values. Cody Garbrandt on there, he's a big name still. But yeah, this is a rough card, especially a rough card to watch and predict and break down. I had a hard time watching it, especially with some of these fighters. But I hope it's good. I think some of these fights will be super competitive, which we all like. I hope the main event's good. The co-main event, I believe, will be pretty solid too. But yeah, during the week, let's see and hope that we get more fights made so I can predict those and figure out and get some content. But tomorrow I will be releasing the final Contender Series card for the year. I believe Bo Nickel is on the card. I don't know who else is on there, but this is what I got. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.